July 1974. Terror at the Tower. July 1974 saw the first ever US Laura Ashley store open in San Francisco. Luckily, this shiny new store wasn't being opened in the UK, given the continuation of the IRA's bombing campaign, damaging numerous shops throughout the month. Political developments in July 1974. On July 3rd, Sinn Féin Vice President Myra Drum announced that Sinn Féin was prepared to engage in discussions with representatives from the Ulster Workers' Council. This declaration came in response to UDA leader Andy Tyrie's offer to participate in negotiations with the IRA. During this period, there were several shared concerns between Loyalist and Republican paramilitary groups, notably regarding internment and the treatment of prisoners. The next day, the Northern Ireland office released a white paper titled The Northern Ireland Constitution, outlining the government's plans to hold elections for a constitutional convention aimed at finding a political resolution to the Northern Ireland conflict. The document included several elements from previous settlement attempts, such as power sharing and acknowledging the need for an Irish dimension. The proposals were enacted through an Act of Parliament on July 17th. That same week, members of the former executive and several Northern Ireland office ministers met in Oxford with Ulster Workers' Council Chairman Harry Murray. The 7th of July saw a report completed on the Monaghan bombing investigation by the Irish police and Garda Síochána. The Barron report, published on the 10th of December 2003, revealed that the Garda Síochána chief superintendent in charge of the investigation into the Dublin bombings had written a memo on the 9th of July 1974, which noted that the investigation unit have returned to their stations. Over the years, the Garda Síochána investigation of the bombings has been heavily criticised. Just 2 days later, Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, Merlin Rees, announced at Westminster that internment would be gradually phased out. A study was carried out on the 15th of July into the problems with hooliganism in Derry, Londonderry. The aims of the study were as follows. The reaction or attitude the army should best adopt towards stone throwers and hooligans in the city of Derry, including a situation where a full-scale riot has taken place. The help in inculcating into young people a proper sense of responsibility and respect for law and order can be given by the Army, the RUC, the NIO, by recommendations to the statutory and voluntary bodies or agencies concerned with youth. These should include education authorities and church bodies. The Westminster Parliament passed the Northern Ireland Act 1974 on the 17th of July, which contained provisions for the election of a constitutional convention on the future government of Northern Ireland. The convention would elect 78 members by proportional representation using the STV system from the 12 Westminster constituencies. The election would be held on the 1st of May 1975. Some retrospective conclusions were put together on the Northern Ireland Executive. In a note, the following outlined the purpose of looking back at things. The Northern Ireland Executive lasted for some 5 months, from January to May 1974. Although this represented a very brief period over which to judge a major constitutional experiment and innovation, some trends and factors were apparent to those more directly involved. It is the purpose of this note to identify some of these trends and factors. The final political development to take place in July 1974 was when the UDA stepped down as a member of the Ulster Workers' Council and the Ulster Loyalist Central Coordinating Committee. The UDA also invited representatives of the Catholic community to hold talks with them. On the 1st of August 1974, representatives of the SDLP went on to hold talks with the UDA. Shootings and beatings in July 1974. July 12th, the IRA shot and killed UDA member John Beattie, 17, while he was standing on the corner of Glenrosa Street and Moyola Street in Tigers Bay, Belfast. The UVF shot and killed Catholic civilian Michael Brown, 16, in Bangor. July 20th, former British soldier Brian Shaw, 21, was found shot dead in a derelict house on Arundel Street, off Grosvenor Road, Belfast. Civilian Daniel Harkin, 47, died of head injuries shortly after being attacked in the back garden of his home on Minashesk Place, Strabane. July 24th. Patrick Kelly, 33, a nationalist councillor, disappeared after leaving his place of work, the Corner Bar, Trillick, County Tyrone, to travel home. Later in the day, bloodstains and cartridge cases were found on the roadside about 1 mile outside of Trillick. Kelly's body was discovered on the 10th of August 1974 in Lough Eyes, near Lisbolaw, County Fermanagh. He had been shot several times and his body had been weighted down and dumped in the lake. Nationalists claimed that there had been security force involvement or collusion in his killing. Allegations were made that Ulster Defence Regiment members had taken part in the attack. On the 29th of July 2003, it was announced that a new investigation into the killing would be undertaken by the Police Service of Northern Ireland. This resulted in several arrests, but no convictions. On the 26th of April 2023, the Police Ombudsman for Northern Ireland issued a statement indicating that the original RUC investigation was wholly inadequate, and the police had failed the family of Patrick Kelly. The Ombudsman also decided that there had been collusive behaviour on the part of RUC officers. July 29th. A female UDA unit beat Protestant civilian Anne Ogilvie to death in an abandoned building on Hunter Street, Belfast, then dumped her body on Stockman's Lane. It was found on the 29th of July. The killing was the result of a personal dispute between the women. Civilian John Murdoch, 45, was shot from a passing car while walking home along the Shire Road near Fort William Crescent in Belfast. July 30th. An IRA sniper shot and killed patrolling British soldier Bernard Fearns, 34, on Hillman Street in the New Lodge, Belfast. Bombings in July 1974. July 2nd. Patrolling British soldier John Walton, 27, was killed by an IRA booby-trap bomb in a derelict house in Carrickgalogly, near Balleek, County Armagh. July 14th. The IRA carried out bomb attacks in Manchester and Birmingham. July 15th. The IRA carried out 5 attacks with incendiary devices around Birmingham and the Black Country. An attack on the Rotunda building caused £250,000 worth of damages in broken glass, whilst businesses in Smethwick, Netchells and Curzon Street were also targeted. July 16th. Catholic civilian Thomas Braniff, 25, was killed when the UVF exploded a bomb at the Sunflower Bar in Belfast. July 17th. The Provisional IRA bombed the Tower of London with the explosion of a 10 to 14 pound, 4.5 to 6.4 kilograms bomb in the White Tower. The blast left 1 person dead and injured 41 people, with many having lost limbs and suffering severe facial injuries. The victim who died was Dorothy Household, 48. At the time, the tower was busy with tourists, with a dozen of the injuries caused to children. A scaffolding company working on the tower when the bomb detonated were able to act immediately to lead the evacuation, ensuring the wounded were taken out of the building to safety and could gain urgent medical attention. The bomb was placed next to a wooden carriage of an 18th century bronze cannon inside the mortar room. The gun carriage was destroyed. July 23rd. A British Airways Belfast-London flight carrying 85 passengers, including RUC Chief Constable James Flanagan, made an emergency landing at Manchester after the pilot was told of a bomb warning. The IRA claimed it planted an unprimed bomb aboard the jet to prove it could breach airport security. It warned that in the future bombs would be set to explode. UDR soldier John Connolly, 43, was killed when a car bomb exploded while he was helping to evacuate civilians from the area at Bridge Street, Garva, County Londonderry. Inadequate warning given. 2 IRA firebombs destroyed 2 stores in Birmingham City. The first exploded at Maple's Furnishing Store on Corporation Street. The second exploded at Levin's Furniture Store at Sparkhill. Several other firebombs were found in a store in the Hall Green area of Birmingham, which were defused and made safe. July 26th. As part of the IRA's Midlands campaign, a firebomb exploded at a shopfitters at Aston in Birmingham. The Harris and Sheldon building on the corner of Priory Road in Aston sustained minor damage. July 30th. The IRA devastated the commercial centre of Bangor, County Down, in an overnight firebomb attack. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tales of the Troubles. If you liked it, please like and share with like-minded people. Stay tuned, click the follow button, and enable notifications so that you don't miss the next episode.